Yo, what's up YouTube? It's the Frenzy, and today I'm doing a commentary on Call of Duty Black Ops 1 because as of today, being November 9th, 2018, the game is now officially 8 years old. And in today's commentary, I'm going to mostly be going over the campaign and, yes, of course, zombies. And I'm not going to really go over the multiplayer in this video just because there's far too much to cover, and I'm sure that you guys honestly wouldn't really care that much. However, I'm mostly just going to be pushing aside like those memories of getting chopper gunner and dogs after only 9 and 11 kills, or being able to get 30,000 COD points right after prestiging by doing a lobby trick and gun game or one in the chamber. And instead, as I mentioned previously, we're just going to be reflecting on only zombies and a little bit of the campaign. Speaking of which, Call of Duty Black Ops 1 campaign is easily my favorite in the franchise for the simple facts that there were some really cool characters, with some of my favorites being Mason, Reznov, and of course Hudson. You guys might know, Hudson as the numbers guy, and the plot was just also very convoluted and even led to a plot twist that I don't think that many of us even saw coming our first time playing the game. And not only that, but one of the coolest parts was the numbers. Yes, like, how the guy would say, well, the guy being Hudson, would be saying, oh yeah, the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? You actually did get to find out what the numbers really meant in the second to last mission of the game. And in that mission, it was just really quite epic seeing the realization of what Mason went through. And if you guys haven't actually played the campaign, I really recommend for you guys to give it a try. And if you guys have played it, you might need to play it another time later on down the road just because of how good it really is. And the campaign was just so much full of that mindfuckery stuff that Mark Lamia spoke about when he was presenting Black Ops 3 a while back. So now, as for zombies, which I'm sure that a lot of you guys were here to listen to me discuss, earlier today I made a tweet talking about Black Ops 1, how it was 8 years old, and I called it the best zombies game and campaign experience in the franchise, and I still like Black Ops 2 the most due to its really fun multiplayer and also almost as fun zombies and campaign, but I digress. Black Ops 1 Zombies was just an experience that a lot of you guys might unfortunately have possibly missed out on. The game launched with 2 Zombies maps, Keynote Toten and 5, along with Dead Ops Arcade. And for those of you guys that bought the Hardened and Prestige editions, where I bought the Hardened edition, you ended up getting all 4 World at War maps remastered as well. So on release, you just got so much content, and it was actually such an awesome feeling being able to play these maps again, especially on the new and improved Black Ops 1 mechanics and movement system. So now this is, however, where the story takes a pretty dark path, and a while back I kind of came to the realization that the unfortunate yet simple fact is that at the end of the day, there will never be another Black Ops 1 Zombies. And like, what do I mean by that? Well, when the game released, players were relying on pretty much only camping to get their high rounds, and everybody was a noob. Not only that, but to find new people to play with, you didn't have live streams, Discord servers, or social media to connect with other players to play with. In fact, there were hardly even YouTube videos of players getting to high rounds in the first place. Times were hard, and the only and best place to find players were in a lobby by actually searching in and going to the random lobby. Players in every random lobby would glance at the leaderboards and, after peeping around, they would do a mic check. Say if they saw that you were around 40 player and they had been around 42, they'd see you around and be like, okay, well, that's cool. Does this guy have a mic? And then whenever they find out, okay, yeah, you have a mic and you've been to around 40, which almost everybody had a mic on Xbox back then, and if all the pieces fit, you would go on and give the person either a trial run by playing a 4-player match with them, or you would back out and invite them to a private match and just go for a high round right away. Unfortunately today, it seems like every time you search in a private match, or sorry, a public match, or if you go into a even multiplayer match, it seems like players just generally don't really use mics. I mean, you guys have been seeing all this stuff lately about how kids these days wouldn't survive a second in MW2 lobbies and stuff, and it's just because everybody has Discord servers and party chats that they can hide in and just talk to only their friends and stuff, unlike back in the day where it was like everybody was in game chat no matter what, and party chat wasn't really that big of a thing at this time. I mean, it was still around. However, players still generally preferred using game chat. So, putting aside all of those factors that I had mentioned previously, and even including the one where I brought up, okay, yeah, players were pretty much noobs and everybody was camping. Well, that's not entirely true because that's about 99.9% of the population. There were still a few select players out there that had realized that, hey, maybe there is more to zombies than just camping. Maybe you can get farther by running around and actually hoarding them up. And some of those players were Mato Master and the Relaxing End. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them before. I mean, I know that like they've got way more subscribers, or at least Relaxing End does, than my channel. But a lot of people don't really remember that Relaxing End was actually a zombies god back in the day. And these players started to kind of rise up just before Ascension came out. And then shortly after Ascension came out, a lot of the community started to open their eyes to the idea of, hey, you're actually able to run around zombies and get much further doing that. And then a few months later, whenever Moon came out, players got so advanced that now they've seen the light. And they've seen that hoarding zombies can be accomplished on every single map if you just look hard enough for a strategy. So for example, Shangri-La, which was arguably one of the most difficult maps at the time, had developed a strategy which was both fast and, while difficult, it could still be done. And it was called the Semtex or AK strategy. It's called both. But anyways, it was developed by Steinhoff and OG Zombie Beast. And this was one of those revolutionary strategies where you just really went from taking so long to just hoard up zombies by running around almost the entire map to, okay, all of a sudden we're able to use zones where zombies can only spawn in 1 or 2 zones away from you. Zombies players had actually developed ways of getting to really high rounds by doing these faster and, although difficult, strategies at the time, which was actually, it's like taking a step on the moon for zombies players. Like, let me tell you, I mean, that's just something that was so cool at the time to actually witness. And like, what exactly am I getting at by saying all of this? Well, if you were to compare zombies players back then to current day, you would see that a lot of current day zombies players are able to climb to very high rounds without much difficulty shortly after a map's release. And, that is assuming that the game doesn't error or anything. And players have gotten so advanced now that no matter what, high rounds are getting done even as early as the first day. Unlike with Black Ops 1, where it was more of an experience. Almost everybody sucked and didn't have access to stuff like live streams or YouTube commentary videos explaining and breaking down a strategy on how to get far on maps. A lot of players were just using their own imagination in games and actually just thinking off the top of their head, okay, what can I actually do to possibly get far? Or, hey, what could we possibly do? What weapons are good at this round? And stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is pretty much just figured out because of all the new content. Everybody has access to live streaming with their consoles or, playing on PC. And it's just a whole different world compared to back then. Also, another thing is it took like a good solid year to actually find like a really well and developed strategy on even some of the simplest maps like Ascension. So there's just never going to be an experience like that again, unfortunately. Like I said at the very beginning of the video. And just being able to go back to times where they were just so much more simple and being able to compete with guys like the Relaxing End, Mato Master, and the Cure for Zombies clan too. I'm sure that a lot of you guys don't even know what the Cure for Zombies clan was, but these guys were the top dogs back in the day. They were so good and it was just so awesome. But having said all of that, some of you guys might be thinking that I was playing back then, and unfortunately I actually wasn't. I wasn't competing with some of these guys, and I really wish that I was. It's definitely a regret that I have. And I myself, I wasn't a hardcore zombies player until, as a matter of fact, when Black Ops 2 came out. And before Black Ops 1 released, I know I had like around 45 on co-op, World at War Reese, and that was about it. I played zombies for quite a bit the first month that Black Ops 1 was released, and I got to around 30 and 40 plus on some maps and two-player co-op, but I quickly fell in love with Dead Ops Arcade, and I feel like it's one of the most underrated game modes in all of Call of Duty. And I only played pretty much Dead Ops Arcade and Call of Duty Black Ops 1 multiplayer, and seldom played zombies until Black Ops 2 was released. So while I was around, I wasn't exactly competing with these guys for the top spots on leaderboards. And as I said before, it definitely is a pretty big regret looking back on it. And another thing that I wanted to bring up too is that I know that some people are going to beg to differ and say that Black Ops 3 was the best game because of the storyline and stuff. And yeah, sure, I mean, that may be true, but let's be real here. Like, I don't think that anybody watching my content really is watching me because they want to hear about storyline discussions and things of that nature. Like, we're here to talk about high rounds, learn about strategies, and maybe even learn a little bit about the high round community, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. What are you guys here for? Like, to be honest, like, if you guys aren't here for that, I mean, I don't really know what else there could possibly be. Another thing too, I think that a lot of you guys that are watching or listening to this video would be pretty surprised to know that Black Ops 1 Zombies actually didn't peak in 2011 or 2012 for high rounds. It actually peaked 2.5 years later in 2013 during Black Ops 2's prime. The reason for this was because 2013 was the first year that players started to get to legitimate round 200s on zombies, and because of Black Ops 2, the floodgates for solo high rounds just stormed open, and a lot of players like myself had spawned in and started streaming games on Twitch TV. Although, as I said, a lot of this stuff is just for another nostalgic discussion in another video, and all of this stuff is pretty much ancient history that I would at some point like to go over with you guys. If you guys would be interested, that is. And however, I just thought that I would just share my thoughts on this legendary game and why there will just simply never be another zombies game like it. And I would also probably go as far to rank this Call of Duty Black Ops game as possibly one of my top 5 games I've ever played. However, I think that just about wraps it up for this commentary, and I didn't actually even expect to make this video, but whenever I learned that the game turned 8 years old today, and seeing the current state of Black Ops 4, I really just began to miss the good old days. So I just kind of did this commentary on the fly, just out of nowhere, about like an hour ago or something before an hour ago before I uploaded this, of course. But anyways, guys, I'm Frenzy, and I'm out. Deuces.